Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. So today we are here to talk about the holiday Wet n Wild brush collection. So if that's something you're interested in watching, you're in the right place. We're about to get into it.
I'm a lone wolf. I'm a lone wolf. I'm a lone wolf. I'm a lone wolf. I'm a lone wolf.
So the Wet n Wild holiday brush collection, it's like a holiday staple every year. Now right now this 10-piece brush collection you can find in Walgreens and other places where Wet n Wild is sold. It is a 10-piece brush set, and typically it retails for around $30 full price. But on about November 1st, right around that kind of first week of November, they go on sale for 50% off. So you can usually pick them up for about $15 for a 10-piece set. Now, I reviewed this set last year, and it was kind of a mixed bag. For Wet n Wild, it was definitely a step up from those white brush handles that they have with the pink and white bristles. Those are just awful. So the holiday brush set last year that they came out with was definitely a step up from that, but it still felt very cheap. This is a remnant of that brush set, and it's just like a very kind of light plastic, and it has a synthetic, they're cruelty-free brushes, so they are synthetic hair, but you know, the hairs on these are quite stiff. And I mean, overall it was a step up for Wet n Wild from their typical brushes. So I mean, for the most part it was definitely an improvement. These are supposed to be even better than last year's, so let's see what we've got. So last year's was in this really crazy kind of holographic packaging. This year's, it seems to be much more tame. It is just in this pink and white packaging. It looks like there is kind of this rose gold type of pink theme running throughout even the brushes themselves. You take this sleeve off and the brush itself or the box itself is like rose gold and pink. It's actually super pretty. Now when you look at the box itself, like I said, it looks like a pretty gift box. You could really just put a bow on this box and it would be a really super cute gift. But when you pull it out, you have the brush set itself, and it's in like this kind of plasticky, blister pack. So we're going to go one at a time and talk about them, give you guys an up-close view of them, and let's see what you think. All right, so right off the bat, just in holding this brush, it is kind of that same very lightweight, cheapy kind of plastic. It is a very similar handle to the handle from last year. However, it is like a very kind of a pinky color, and it does like ombre down from a pink to a silver tail at the bottom, and the tail almost looks like a dragon tail of some sort, like it has almost like scales there towards the bottom, which is actually quite cool. And then of course it has a finger grip right up here, which, you know, I don't know about the finger grip. Typically if you hold a brush this close to the ferrule, you're really going to get a very dense application of product. So typically you want to hold it a little farther back on the handle itself. So I'm not really sure about the placement of this. I mean, it would be good for some applications, but not all. The bristles themselves, now this is where I will say I feel a little bit of a difference. The synthetic bristles are a little bit softer and not as firm as the bristles were last year. But then again, this is just the first brush, so let's wait and see. Speaking of the first brush, it doesn't look like they have decided to number or name these brushes They didn't do it last year. Doesn't look like they're going to do it again this year. So it is what it is. But this is called the number 1, and this is called the shader eye brush. So I'll give you guys a close-up of it here. So again, this is just supposed to be a shader eye brush. I don't know that I would necessarily use this for shading because it's so thin. It does have a tapered tip though, so I think this would be more of a packing brush. I really would enjoy using this as a packing brush, or even to put eye primer on the lid. If you have like concealer that you prime your lid with, or any kind of like matte painterly would be good. Any cream consistency that you use with a primer to prime your eyes, this would be a great brush to do that with. So I mean, overall it's definitely a brush that I like to see in a collection, but I don't think you're going to be doing much shading with this one. I think the tip is just too thin to get any kind of shading or blending going on, but you can get some packing, and this would be good for some cream products on the eye. So yeah, so that's the first one. All right, so the second one in this collection is the Tapered blending brush. So this is basically going to be like your MAC 232 or any of those thin kind of flat tapered blending brushes. Now this one is flatter. It does have a fluffier head though, and the bristles on this one are actually quite soft. I am a little more impressed with this year's bristles, but let's take a look at it up close. So as you can see, it does have this kind of tapered tip, which is going to be really good for blending. And again, these bristles are a lot softer than last year's bristles. I think they are a better quality synthetic hair than last year's. And yeah, I think not only is it a better quality, but I also think that the hairs are a little more densely packed than last year's bristles are as well. So this is the number 2 Tapered blending brush. Number 3 is a flat contour brush. I'll give you guys close up here. Now this one I actually really do like, because I do like these flat contour brushes, and this has very soft bristles. When I got a hold of this is the first big brush that I've touched in this collection. The bristles are 100% better quality synthetic bristles than in previous collections. One of my favorite things about this particular brush is not only is this going to be perfect for contour, but it's a good size for nose contour, and it's not a thin. So a lot of these contour brushes can be very thin like this. This actually has a wide surface space on the top, which is great for blending. When it's thin, it's easy to cut a contour out, but it's a little more difficult to actually blend it into the skin with a flat contour brush. But when you have a lot of surface space like that, it makes it a little more easier. I actually really like this particular brush from Wet n Wild. So I'm glad that I'm liking the face brushes. The bigger they get, it's like the more I can see that it is a little bit higher quality than last year's, which is really nice to see. So again, this is the flat contour brush, and this is the 3rd brush. Now the 4th brush is what they call a flat foundation brush. So it's a flat top, it's not tapered top, and this is supposed to be for foundation application. The only thing that I see wrong with this is that with foundation application, you really don't want it to be like this fluffy. For foundation, particularly liquid foundation, you really want this to be a very dense brush, packed full of bristles. And this is a bit too fluffy for that. Now you could do a powder foundation and buff it into the skin with this brush quite nicely. Let me show you guys up close what I mean. So again, you can see that these bristles are just really super fluffy, and when you're working with a liquid foundation, you don't want it to be this fluffy. You want them to be a lot more dense and a lot more tighter in there and packed a little bit harder. It's just going to give you more control and blendability when it comes to applying foundation. But again, I mean, as far as the way that the actual bristles feel, they are incredibly soft. I think this would work well with a number of products. You don't necessarily have to use this as a foundation brush. You could use it for a myriad of other things. But this is the 4th brush in the collection, and that's called the flat foundation brush. Now the 5th brush in the collection is probably my favorite, and that is called their large powder brush, and I'll give you guys a close-up of it here. One of the things that I really like about this brush, number one, is it is incredibly soft, but it also has a tapered tip, and I love powder brushes that have a tapered tip like this. It's good for a couple of uses. Number one, it's really good if you want to get underneath the eye, because that tip really allows you to get up and underneath the eye when you're using it for setting powder. But it also makes for a very light and kind of fluffy application of powder, because you can dip your product in and then you just take the tip and you swirl the tip on your face, and what it does is it actually uses the surrounding bristles here to disperse the product, and it just gives a very fluffy look to the skin with powder. It does things like minimize pores, etc. So I love these kind of powder brushes that are shaped this way. So soft, so pretty. I love this brush. It's a beautiful powder brush, and the bristles on here are very soft. I really, really like them. It's a shame that they're all white though, because and they're synthetic, which means it is going to be a pain in the butt to get these suckers clean once you've dirtied them up really good. But they are beautiful as far as color and everything else is concerned too. So this is number 5, the large powder brush. Number 5 in the collection is the blush brush, and I'll show you guys this brush up close. One of the things I really love about this is the tapered tip as well. That does make for a beautiful blush application, and the way that the end of this brush actually grazes the skin will make for a beautiful blush application. I love the shape of this brush. I think it was very well thought out. The bristles are like the perfect density. They're packed in there perfect. The way that the bristles were cut on the tip are perfect for blush application overall. This is a perfect brush. There's not anything wrong with this brush. I would pay money just to get this particular brush out of this collection. And this is the blush brush, and this is the 6th brush out of the collection, and I really, really like this one. Number 7 is a fan brush. For me personally, the most useless brush in the collection. Now, if you like a fan brush like this, then there's just not many bristles on it. I'll give you a close-up of it here. It's a very sparse when it comes to bristles. They're just really super thin. If you like maybe barely a dusting of highlight on your cheek, this might, see, there's not even enough bristles on there to really be able to control placement with product. This one, I don't know, this one to me just seems like a waste out of the collection. It's poorly made. You've got bristles kind of sticking out everywhere. There's really not any kind of cohesive shape to it. If you're going to get a fan brush, I would recommend that you get like a fan brush, one that's well crafted. It's got some good size to it. It's got some good density to it that's really going to allow you to control application of product. But, you know, this one, I don't know. I mean, yeah, no, I don't. This one is not my favorite. Not my favorite brush. But this is number 7. This is number 8. This is their tapered highlighting brush. I'll give you a close-up of it here. It does have a little bit of a tapered tip. It's almost flat, but not quite. But it does have just enough of a taper to do a little bit more of a highlight work. And that's what I would use this for, is for some good highlighting work. Or you could even use it on the eye as well, because it's really not that giant. You could use this, you know, for any kind of detailing work on the face that you want to. I think overall this is a good one. I like this one. It's just a kind of an oversized fluffy blending brush, but there's not much of a taper on the tip, which is going to make it more effective for blending product on the face and less effective for doing any kind of eye work with it, because it's a little more flatter. I'd like to see a little bit more of a taper for highlight and for blending, but I mean, it is what it is. It's not bad. So yeah, this is the highlighting brush. Number 9 is their fluffy blending brush. Now this has got a very nice tapered tip. I'll show you what I mean here. So this is it. I was afraid the blending brush that they actually had in here for the eyes would not have a nice taper to it, because the highlight brush seemed to be cut a little more on the flat side. But this actually does have a beautiful taper to it. This is going to be a beautiful fluffy blending brush for the eye. It has a beautiful taper, which is going to give you a great blend. The fibers themselves feel really, really nice, and the way that they're cut is perfect. So overall, I think this is a good brush. I like this. Number 9, the fluffy blending brush. And number 10 is a concealer brush. Now this is very similar to number 1, except it's a little bit fatter and a little bit wider. It's going to be good for cream products. For concealer, yeah, I could see you using this to place concealer on. I don't see you using this to actually blend concealer out with. This might be good just to place concealer on, or maybe just on the face covering up blemishes. But regardless, this is going to be a good flat brush for liquid product is what this is going to be good for. But because I feel like it's just a little bit bigger version of number 1, I feel like it's almost a little repetitive in this kit. I would have liked to have seen this brush replaced, but I'll show you these two side by side so you can see what I'm talking about. As you can see, the eye shader brush is just a little bit smaller, but pretty much for the most part, for all intents and purposes, they're just about the same. The eye shader brush, ironically, is thinner, where it should be a little more fatter so that you can actually use it to shade the eye, and the concealer brush, which is supposed to be for liquid product, is thicker, which is, you know, what you want if you're looking at a shader brush. So it's kind of the opposite there, but this is number 10, and that is the concealer brush. Alright guys, so overall, what are my thoughts on this particular brush collection? Well, I'll tell you, honestly, I like all of the brushes with the exception of the fan brush. I would like to have seen this fan brush replaced with a angled brush and spoolie combo, a dual-ended angle brush with a spoolie. That is missing out of this collection, and I would have loved to have seen that replaced with that fan brush. And the concealer brush or the shader brush, one of the two of them needs to go. In this instance, we'll say it's the concealer brush needs to go. And I would like to see that concealer brush replaced with a pencil brush or a good, very small brush for under eye shading, inner corner work, etc. There isn't one of those in the collection. I think those are two things that this collection is missing, and I think it really would have taken this collection to the next level to have a double-ended spoolie, an angle brush, and a pencil brush. I think you would have had a beautiful, complete collection here. Do I think it's worth $30? I don't. I would definitely wait until this goes on sale when you can actually grab it for that 50% off. Even at 30% off, I wouldn't mind maybe even a $20 price point. I think $15 is definitely worth it. Great beginner brush set. I think this would be a great beginner brush set for younger folks at Christmas time or anybody that's just starting out, because they are competent enough tools that they're not going to hinder your work in any way on the eye. You'll be able to get good blends and do what you need to do with these particular brushes. My issue really is what's included and what's missing. But overall, I think it's definitely an improvement on the bristles year over year. I think these are much better than last year, and if they keep improving, then I can't wait to see what next year brings. Alright guys, so that is it for this particular video. Thanks for coming and hanging out with me today. If you are new here, welcome. Feel free to hit the subscribe button and give me a thumbs up. I would love to have you as a member of the approved crew. Don't forget we have a Halloween contest going on this week. Just go back to the Halloween video. Make sure you like the video, you give the video a thumbs up, and put your contact information in the comment section. Just let me know how to get in touch with you in the event that you are the winner, and that's all you have to do to be entered. There's a couple of palettes in there. There's some brushes in there. I've added a couple of things in there. One of the things that I have added in there is the Wet n Wild also has a, for the holidays, they've put 4 of their Mega Glow highlighters in one palette. So I've added this to the giveaway. It is their beautiful Mega Glow highlighters. I think they're absolutely stunning. I don't want to swatch this one though. I want to keep the little plastic cover on here because it is going into the contest. So this is being added to the giveaway. So make sure that you're entered. I can't wait to do the announcement video that's going to be streamed live on this channel on Monday, November the 5th. So make sure that you are here. Keep an eye on my Instagram at ErikaApproved, and I will announce the time there. All right, guys, I hope everybody is very happy and very healthy, and I will see you guys in the next video. Mwah.